Cherry Rose, the pleasure's all mine. Chapter 13. Finally! I bet your name would have figured it out sooner. Whose idea was it to make the whole cell block powered by one frickin'... You know what? Never mind. Let's just get this damn key card and get the hell out of here. With an exasperated sigh and shake of his head, Leon entered the late Ben's jail cell to carefully remove the parking permit from around his broken and disfigured neck. The young man grimaced as he peeled parts of the lanyard away from coagulated blood. After a slight turn of his head to look away and collect himself when he finished, Leon's eyes caught sight of a tape recorder in the reporter's chest pocket. He slid the object out of its fabric nook and pressed play. The writer's voice spoke first.
But that doesn't explain the rumors about the orphanage. I just find it way too coincidental Umbrella's one of the benefactors.
You told me this interview was about the new scholarship Umbrella set up.
A scoff. Come on, Annette. Nobody cares about that. They want to know about the G virus and the...
Where did you hear about this?
And that big fucking sinkhole in the city, which, by the way, rumor has it goes straight to your underground lab. Now, are you gonna talk to me, or are you...
This interview is over. A chair scrapes, and Annette presumably leaves the room.
Bitch.
A click came from the tiny black box, signifying the end of Ben's failed interview, as Leon thought of Ada. She may be cold, broody, and dead set on never having to be in the same room as the little blonde bootlicker ever again, but he figured it'd still be worthwhile having the recorded conversation on hand, in case it proved to be of use to her investigation. He began his exit from behind the iron bars, when chaos found the young officer yet again. Cell doors clanked open and unleashed over a dozen undead carnivores, who quickly sniffed out their late-night snack. That's not good. For a moment, Leon bravely stood his ground, firing only a few times from the W-870 shotgun in his hands, before accepting there were way too many to fight at once. A quick flashbang to stun the enemy horde later, and Leon was back on track. He broke into a sprint down the hall, expecting the barred door at the end to open for him when he slammed his shoulder into it. All it did was give him another bruise for your name to poke and prod at in their usual maliciously playful way. If he ever finally found them. A pull on the door didn't work either, and it was already too late to try another hall thanks to the flash grenade effects wearing off. Leon grunted, frustratingly striking the bars with his palms, before spotting a lever on the brick wall to his right from the corner of his eyes. With a, I don't know, we'll see I guess, attitude, he used it to hopefully unlock the barricade in his way. Latches detaching themselves from each other was like a chorus singing Handel's Messiah Hallelujah, but it quickly turned minor, dissonant, and twisted, thanks to none other than a certain gray-skinned giant man. He looked a little worse for wear, to say the absolute least, but still more than capable of stomping the little policeman's chest so it concaves. Leon's heart barely had a chance to skip a beat when a gloved fist the size of his head raised and swung towards the young man's charming face. Thankfully, he didn't graduate top of his class from the police academy for nothing, as he expertly evaded the assault with another loud flash of white.
Sure. It's a move I spam a lot. But why fix what isn't even broken?
cocky chuckle bubbled in Leon's chest as he ran, then swung open the first door that had been used to leave him behind. Unfortunately for the 5'11" man, whose height would now be considered humble, Goliath refused to lose this modern match to David. The once sturdy wall beside Leon erupted, scattering debris far across the garage. Some of the pieces thumped harshly against his bulletproof vest, before a leather hand sprung like a poppy from the dust and lifted him almost 10 feet off the ground by his neck. As the flailing cop fought for a singular significant breath, his opponent inched their faces closer together, daring the wriggly worm of a man to stay alive. Tiny, bright blue and green stars sprinkled themselves across Leon's line of sight. A dark vignette wrapped around the edges like a warm blanket, and rapidly closed in with every blink.
No. Your name.
Somewhere in the distance, a considerably large vehicle thundered to life. Its rumbling growl vibrated the walls like an angry bison's chuff before crescendoing as it charged for the leather-coated killer. For a moment, Leon felt weightless, believing it was finally time to float among the cosmos that sparkled across his vision just a few seconds ago. The thought of this being the only way he'd ever get to see his beloved best friend again crossed his subconscious, and he smiled. But by some sick miracle, the sadistic, omnipotent asshole left in charge of his fate decided against his dark optimism and made sure he'd stick around for a little while longer. The stone floor beneath him suddenly collided with the side of his skull, shouting at him to wake the hell up. Clutching the collar of his vest, Leon dry coughed and wheezed on all fours as frigid oxygen piercingly reintroduced itself into his lungs. Beside him, a SWAT truck's driver door creaked open after whoever sat inside was satisfied with the unconscious state of Leon's assailant. He scanned for them through the dust, but the sound of their footwear was all the information he needed.
Ada!
This is getting old. Saving your ass, that's twice. She pushed 2 fingers in front of his face, her jaw jutting forward before stepping back. The idea of helping Leon get back on his feet never crossed her mind.
I didn't realize you were keeping score.
He responded, an undeniable snark in his tone. Excuse you? This isn't a game. You're lucky I didn't get... The SWAT truck groaned. They whipped their heads around in its direction. Rubble fell off the sides like tiny boulders on a hill as large hands pushed the vehicle off their holder's body. Ada threw her arms up in bewilderment, probably also rolling her eyes behind her sunglasses, before revealing a detonator from her coat pocket. Nothing dies down here. She flipped a switch, and the front of the car boomed with hot fire following suit. The black leather mitts fell limp once again. For how long this time? Who knows? As the flames crackled, Ada returned her attention towards the current vein of her existence. I take it you have the key card?
Yeah. And this.
He tossed her the recorder.
I was hoping you could explain what's on it.
Maybe. After I hear it. Get us out of here, yeah? She turned her back to him and pressed a few buttons. Leon's nose flared as he walked over to the gate panel, biting his tongue the whole way. He slid the plastic permit inside its slot, and the shutter door raised. His new misanthrope acquaintance assumed the lead and started down the street. She didn't even notice Leon falling behind and looking back at the station with faltering hope as she held the speaker to her ear. Just like before, when the session finished, it clicked, and Ada turned it off.
Is that the intel you needed?
Leon asked after catching up to her. Unfortunately, no. Ben didn't come through.
Well, what exactly are you looking for?
More info on the people responsible for this mess. They passed a quaint little bookstore with superhero posters on the front and kept walking until they reached the infamous massive sinkhole. The obstruction stretched across the entire street. As Leon scanned the scaffolding at the far end, spotting an unfortunate woman's body beside a burlap sack and string, Ada called out to him. "Hey, this gun shop. Looks like going through it is the only way." She tried the door, then kneeled in front of it with a picklocking kit, and the knob didn't turn. After manipulating the mechanism successfully, she pushed the double doors open and strolled inside. Leon followed suit. He scoured through as many shelves as he could, but everything was picked clean save for chipped paint. He began his exit through the back of the shop, expecting nothing but the rain, before coming face to face with the barrel of a shotgun. He slowly raised his hands on either side of his face and looked down to appear deceptively harmless. A loving father and devoted husband revealed himself from behind the stock.
Don't move. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Leon started with a single step.
I said don't move.
The shop owner responded with an equal step.
I'm just passing through. I'm gonna ask you to lower your weapon. Like hell you are, Kendo growled. You're gonna turn around, and you're gonna go back the way you came in. They locked it for a fucking reason.
With methodical submission in his intelligent blue pools, Leon slowly turned his face in the man's direction, peering through his eyelashes and trying not to bring attention to the twitch in his fingers, ready to snatch the weapon aimed at him. Just as he was about to make his move, a little girl's raspy breathing stole the blonde's attention. Behind her father, she swayed back and forth, with her head hung low and black hair covering most of her fevering, veiny face. Finally, the boy in blue truly understood. The tone of his voice changed from one of authority to something softer and more gentle.
I think your daughter needs help, sir.
This only angered Mr. Kendo further, so he cocked his shotgun and jabbed Leon's bruised shoulder with the tip of the barrel.
Don't tell me how to deal with my daughter.
Drop it, a particular raven-haired agent commanded, appearing from the shadows once more and pointing her pistol in the father's direction. Leon seized the opportunity to do the same as a precaution, although he had no real intention of pulling the trigger. A few seconds passed before Ada finally noticed the girl for herself, and without so much as a blink, switched her aim to the child's forehead.
No, wait!
Kendo swiftly stepped in front of his daughter, holding up a palm in surrender. Step aside. We need to terminate her before she turns. A chuff escaped the father's lips. He slowly repositioned his firearm in Ada's direction.
Terminate. That's my little girl.
Leon lowered his Matilda pistol and spoke to the unsympathetic woman beside him.
Ada. Just let them be.
She side-eyed Leon for a second before giving in. The shop owner, rightfully so, kept his shotgun trained on her chest just in case.
Emma, sweetheart. I told you to stay put.
The little one sobbed between words.
Daddy, I miss them. I miss. It hurts, Daddy. It hurts.
Immediately ignoring the other adults now, Mr. Kendo rushed to kneel in front of Emma, holding on tight to her small, sweltering hands. He choked back his own tears and sniffed up snot aggressively.
It's okay, Emmy. I know. I'm sorry they had to go. But I'm here. Okay?
He squished her against his comforting chest, the only way a papa can, as he addressed Leon and Ada once again.
Those fucking things outside. Look what they did to us. You're a cop. You're supposed to know what happened. How did this happen? Huh?
Blood trickled from Emma's eyes and pooled on her father's tartan shirt, spreading like the catastrophe surrounding her world.
She was our sweet little angel. Just a little baby Wookiee.
He pressed his eyelids together and begged the rain to wash away his never-ending agony.
Mommy's sleeping now. Okay? I'm gonna put us to bed too. I'll even do it just like they showed me. I promise. Your favorite special way, Emma. Everyone's favorite special girl.
The authoritative pair watched as Emma's father rose to his feet and carried the other third of his heart back to their room, locking the door behind him. Leon turned to face Ada, his brows furrowed and glaring at her through those ridiculous square sunglasses.
You know, It's one thing to keep the truth from me. I get it. FBI jerks like you think you're so high and mighty compared to a little cop like me. But why him?
A faint collection of male sobs. Leon paced with his palms behind his head, trying his best to prevent a breakdown and stay focused. He couldn't stop the flashing images of your name meeting the same fate. It tore him apart to even conceptualize a scenario in which they screamed for help, but no one being around to give them what they needed. After some time, he squared his body in Ada's direction and stepped forward with a determined expression on his usually feathered features.
I want to find out what's happening here and stop whoever's behind it. Helping people like them? That's why I joined the force. So you're either gonna let me help you or stay out of my way.
Ada sighed, finally relinquishing control over to the part of her that considered Leon a formidable ally. My mission is to take down Umbrella's entire operation. We may not make it out.
Whatever it takes to save the city, count me in.
Ada nodded, then led the way.